Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rum and Cinema. Today we're going to be talking about Succession, now streaming on Max, I guess is what we have to call it now. HBO Max. It's on HBO.
Doesn't feel right, does it?
No, it feels stupid. It's on HBO Max. The whole series is out now, and we're going to be talking about it. You can find us at youtube.com/@rumandcinema. Subscribe to keep up to date with all our new episodes as we release them, and you can find us on TikTok at Rum and Cinema as well. Today I'm joined by my guests, Nate and Jake. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing good. I was a little late. We're getting started a little later than anticipated, but that just means I'm that much more prepared.
Yeah, you did like the Roman Roy, just show up in the middle of the meeting and be like, all right, fuckers, what are we doing?
I was going to say that's not who you want to be, but there's really no one that you want to be.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah. Maybe Greg, but not in real life because he's got some allegations against him allegedly. So, do you have to say allegedly with allegations?
Kind of too.
I think he's the winner in the show. He won it. We'll get to it.
All right.
Nate, how are you?
I don't know if I agree with you. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling loud and clear. Yeah. Thanks to Omar Lopez.
Big ups.
My number one benefactor.
The only person on TikTok who wants to hear you more. But yeah, we were told that Nate's microphone is not oriented correctly, which big ups, man. It already sounds so much better. So good call on that.
It actually does.
Yeah, big thank you to Omar and big fuck you to Ben for not informing me this entire time. You told me to buy this microphone and then you watched me be a fool.
Well, to be fair to me, I had to edit you not snapping with rubber bands and Velcro the first 3 years we did this podcast. So I wanted it as little of you as possible in the podcast.
What the pop filter's for?
That's new. That is post rubber band Nate. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're professional.
I fixed everything and you were just like, fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah.
You could still do the rubber band just on the other side of the filter. You can get through.
I changed to a little piece of yarn that's silent.
Oh, thank you.
Just for you.
I love that. I appreciate that so much.
The cats are watching. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, it's getting mauled halfway through.
You done yet? You just got coconut mauled. So yeah, Succession. We've never done a TV show before. If you have not seen Succession, go watch it. We're going to talk about only spoilers, and they're ridiculous spoilers.
Just pause real quick.
Yeah.
Get caught
you
up.
managed not to be spoiled at this point.
That's fair. If you've already been spoiled, listen on.
I don't know. I don't run into a lot of HBO spoilers in the wild, I feel like.
Except for The Idol being canceled after one episode. That was spoiled for me this morning on Twitter. It's
what show?
The Idol, exactly. It's The Idol. It's The Weeknd and that guy from Euphoria who made a show to show more naked women being in precarious situations. And then there's a bunch of backlash against it, and then it got canceled today after one season.
I don't know anything about it, but sounds fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a few people on the internet were like, bullying wins. Which is, fair. It did.
I did run into spoilers on Succession. The guys on Pod Save America regularly spoiled Succession for me throughout the entire season. Live with the show. They would spoil it and they'd be like, whoa. And I know they edit. It's not like this show. I know that they edit, but they choose to leave the spoilers in there. I knew a lot of key plot points. I didn't know when they were coming exactly, but I knew them before I started the show. So
you knew what was going to happen on the airplane when it took off.
I don't think I knew that. I knew Logan was dying, which I probably knew anyway. But I knew it was happening at mid-season, not at the very end or something. They didn't go into any details. They just made some oblique reference to someone dying in Succession, and I was like, well, obviously. And we were only halfway through the season at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah,
you should have just been watching.
Fuck those guys.
No.
I couldn't because the show is so dark and bleak that Taylor refused to watch it.
Well, speaking of, Black Mirror just came out today, as of recording this day, season 6 on Netflix.
I'm not even excited after the last few seasons. I'll go watch it, but
Yeah, they kind of, the first 2 seasons banged, and then they got
Well,
American.
yeah,
I think.
like the UK, yeah, the American. There's like 2 good episodes I remember that I really like from the post UK.
Jesse Plemons is in one of them. He's the Star Trek guy, right?
Yeah. That episode's fun. It's not Black Mirror-ish, honestly,
No.
but it is fun. Yeah.
Jake, have you seen Black Mirror?
I got a couple episodes in
Yeah,
and just never turned it on again.
that's fair. I think the one that fucked me up the most was the one where the kid keeps getting text messages. Like, you see the kid at the beginning is like hiding porn from his family. Like, oh, I was looking at porn, sorry. And he's like 15, 16. You're like, kid. And then he like gets these text messages to like keep doing these different things. And there's like a drone following him, and they'll like murder him if like he doesn't follow the instructions. And there's like other people also following those instructions. And then it comes to a head, and then you're revealed what they all have in common. And it fucking destroyed me. I couldn't handle watching television after that for a little bit. It was like the first time you see Old Boy, horrifying. Yeah, fucked me up. So go check that one out. It's a fun one.
Yeah. On a lighter note, Succession.
Yeah. Speaking of eating the rich,
Speaking of getting back to bummer content,
so
we've been having too much fun lately.
yeah, I think I'd agree. We had a lot of kids movies, and the last weird one we watched was probably The Whale. The last like not fun one was probably The Whale. So it's time to get back into our not fun time. Beau is Afraid is going to be streaming at some point in the next couple weeks, so I'm sure we'll do that.
Oh, so excited.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun. I heard it's not that scary. It's more like unnerving or like anxiety. I don't know. We'll find
That's
out.
what we've been doing lately. Did we do The Lobster on the podcast, or we just talk about it?
No, I've never
Oh
seen
my
it.
god! Oh my god! Seriously?
Yeah,
After what I said,
yeah. Still never seen it.
we got to do that. That'll fuck you
It's
up.
the most
you won't
Ben
want to watch a
movie of
movie
all time.
for. Say again.
I said the most Ben movie of all time.
In Bruges? No, The Lobster, is it really that like fucky with you? Because I do like
It's
that.
pretty fucked. Yeah.
Alright, good.
No,
Have you seen
yeah.
Prisoners?
I thought of you guys. Say again.
Have you seen Prisoners? With
think
Hugh
so.
Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal and the Riddler. What's his name? Paul Dano. Incredible. One of my favorite movies. Thriller, twist, fucked up. Good.
All right. We
So
got our
Succession.
lineup.
Yeah. All right.
That's a list.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the TV shows that I've been watching other than Succession lately.
West Wing. Go for it.
What's that? No.
So we've never done a TV show before. I don't know how this format's going to work. If you hate it, too bad. Go to the next one. We'll talk about a movie. But I think that Succession was. I think TV is where a lot of really good filmmaking is happening right now, especially writing. And I think this season of Succession is my favorite season of any show, and the finale is my favorite finale of any show. And I think I think this season was incredibly strong, given how many stories it had to tie up and how seemingly universally satisfied people were with the ending, which is pretty rare for a drama, especially a drama that's only 4 seasons. I think that's really hard to do. And like the complex stories they brought out of like, but in a very personable way. Like it's all about literally the whole show is about Kendall wanting to become CEO and his dad telling him no in various different ways.
Yeah. I think that's why it kind of didn't surprise me that it satisfied people is like, it is weird. Like I think it's where the renaissance of TV that you're talking about is coming from is from the not every show having to exist for as long as it possibly can. Like obviously they could have kept making Succession. People would have kept watching it and it could have fizzled out. But they like took the playbook of like the prestige shows and like ended it. And it was very focused the entire time. Like you're saying, like it's not a sprawling, complicated, story. It's a story about 5 characters plus a couple others. And this like very specific story, and I have to believe that they knew what they were doing, like knew how it was going to end, or at least had a pretty good idea from the beginning.
Yeah, the roadmap seems really well put together, and I think that the one of the like main good things you can take from streaming, despite like the shitty pay that the writers are getting and striking for right now, and the like not good kickbacks for everybody else involved, is the fact that you don't have to like think about syndication like TVs used to have to. Like, we need to get to 100 episodes because we need that syndication money, because that's how everybody makes a living off of this. I mean, now you can do
everything's bad except for that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But that's been great.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like COVID. There's a lot of bad, but there's a couple good things.
It's especially for viewers. I think the switch to streaming, for shows like this has just been amazing. Just need kind of the industry to catch up to it, and it was a relatively quick change, and it was also pushed further by COVID, because it was one of those things where COVID hits, streaming was already flying, but that just really pushed it up. And then it's one of those things where it's like, okay, no reason to really go back to the old way, because this new way is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this show is one of those shows that was like impacted a little bit by COVID. It ran from 2018 to 2023, so that's 6 years, and it's a 4-season show. So it like definitely spread itself out over that time. Like, Barry did the same thing. A lot of shows had to do that, but
now we're doing it again.
Yay! It's good though. It's all good. I would like to ask you all the first question, which is, who won?
A big winner is Tom, and I think that's funny because it wasn't in the last episode, but it was in the last season when Tom was described by his own wife as an empty suit.
To Madsen.
And because when Shiv was saying that, she was saying like, oh, you can prop him up in a whatever place, like he'll just do whatever. He's an empty suit. And even when she said it, it wasn't really meant as an insult.
No.
And she said, I'd tell him that to his face, which I believe she would. I don't think she'd have any. And I think
we've clearly seen that she would tell that to his face. That's the nicest thing she said to him this year. But
I think he's one of the winners of the show. He pretty much just went upward the whole way. He had the it seemed for a while like he was gonna go to prison, take a bunch of heat for some stuff, but he rich white manned his way through it and came out on top.
Classic rich white man.
I think he's definitely the only one who got exactly what he wanted. Like, he had no illusions about like Kendall thinking like, not only does he want control, but he thinks he's gonna like revolutionize. He just was like, I want to be rich, and I want to be in this like position of power, and that's exactly what he got. And he's the only person who got exactly what he was looking at for.
He did not care how the business was ran, at any aspect of the business that he was running, because he at the start of the show he's like head of amusement parks.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes up from there. But even as far back as then, he does not care. He will do whatever his superiors tell him. He does not care. He's just, and he says it a lot throughout the show. And pretty much every time he introduces himself to somebody that's in a position of power over him, he says, "Oh, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve."
Yeah.
And for him, that's like the whole dynamic, because he just kisses ass of anyone above him, and anyone below him is like less than human.
Yeah, piece of shit. What I love is that a lot of characters like explicitly call him out for it, but then it still works anyway.
Yeah.
Too. Like, I mean, even the Swede was like making fun of him, but then when it came down to it, he was like, "Oh yeah, but I could actually use that." Like, they don't even have to respect him. It works.
Yep, the empty suit doesn't matter. He'll be the figurehead, but he's not actually making any decisions. He'll gladly take the heat for any sort of negative attention, and he doesn't want to shake things up. Shiv said it best. She said he'll suck the biggest dick in the room.
That's very true. I may be kind of a dick in answering this way because I asked the question. I think it's no one, and I think that's the point. But if I had to choose someone, I'd say cousin Greg. But here's my argument for no one. Tom got what he wanted financially, but not what he wanted personally. Like, he's with Shiv, but they don't love each other. They're having a kid, but he doesn't trust her. He's in power, but he didn't want that at the beginning. He wants money, and he wants, like, satisfaction, and he would have got that if they sold the company and Shiv and him were happy with the kid. I think he would have been more fulfilled that way. Like, if you listen to him in the beginning of the show, like when the show first starts, that's kind of his ambition, is to, like, he wants to move up in the company, and he gets kind of sucked into the game, which I think is the point, and he kind of loses all of his wants and needs in that and becomes just another cog, an empty suit, like literally becomes an empty suit, and that's not a good spot to be. Why I would argue for Cousin Greg is he lost everything from his grandfather pulling him out of the will, and now he's like probably in the top 10 people at cable news network by like playing the cards perfect with everything he had. Even at the time, if you looked at him like, you're an idiot, and like everyone just kind of didn't believe in him, but he's the one that kind of like tied everything together to make it work, oddly enough, which I mean that's the point of his character. I think he was like a scapegoat kind of character and comedy character, and I think I would argue the if anyone had to win, I would argue it's Cousin Greg, but I think no one won in this show.
My issue with that is that he's still like wholly dependent on Tom. Like, I can't think of a worse position to be in than being under Tom. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It doesn't seem fun. Like, he's gonna be financially secure. Like, that the last line that I think Tom said to Greg about like, I got you, is like he kind of recognizes him as like useful to him in the same way that Tom's useful to other people, and like he's gonna keep him around and keep him like fat and happy. But he just, I mean, if we're talking about a personal aspect to it and not just where you end up, like that seems like a horrible day-to-day experience.
I think the way that Tom says he picked him is very telling of that. He uses the sticker they used to take Logan's things, and that sticker to me is Tom saying, I own you, and you're the only thing I can own in this whole family.
That's why I don't put Greg. I agree with that interpretation. That's why I don't think Greg's doing that great in this situation.
And financially, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's very well off, but he would have been better off taking the inheritance.
Sure. I'd agree. I'd agree. I watched a recap episode of the YouTube channel I called out a couple weeks ago, the Recap and Chill. And you see like the clothes he's wearing at the start of the series versus what he's wearing at the end of the series, and like how he looks and presents himself. It's definitely like intern college stoner to like C-suite fucking finance bro.
Douchebag.
Yeah. And that,
I mean,
kind
it
of
is infuriating
impressive.
knowing that, like, because knowing, dramatized or not, that shit does happen in real
all the time
life. Like, fucking Greg.
That to me feels like all of the Northeast. Like, if you take all of the like famous people from the like well-off people in the Northeast, I feel like it's all Cousin Greg's.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because realistically, he had no skills.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were points where he had things to offer, but it was by virtue of him being there and willing to just do whatever, and but basically he was there because he was a cousin of the family, and they took pity on him enough that he was sort of just dragged along for things until eventually he was part of things.
I think arguably just because Tom saw someone that he could put under him inside the family. That was like, because no one else gave a shit about Greg. Wow. Like, he wouldn't have brought in at all if he'd just showed up and like it was just the big players. Tom was just like, oh shit, I'm not the bottom anymore.
That's so true. I never even thought of that. Yeah, so like Tom's Tom is Cousin Greg. Yeah. Like he needed his own Tom. Yeah, I mean, I would,
which then got renamed to a Greg because at his peak, Greg was bragging about having Gregs.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, Greg. I agree with what you said that like first season Tom probably wouldn't like think that he won. Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm most like not sure to say something about is how Tom and Shiv really feel about each other by the end. Mm-hmm. It's so unclear if it's just like intense codependence, or if they do really like love and hate each other, or if it's just hate and convenience. And it's hard for me to like even tell by the end. So like I can't tell with those last like 2 fights and then reconciliations and then fights, like how genuine it is. And I don't think they know either in the show, like how genuine it is and how much it's just like play acting at this point. So it's hard to say how happy Tom is that he ended up with Shiv.
Yeah, I think Shiv feels the worst out of everyone. Because
absolutely.
She sees herself as her mom 100%, and that's not where she wanted to be. I do think that Shiv was the only person in like the main group of people other than Logan that had talent. I think Roman doesn't have a lot to offer from talent from like a business standpoint. I don't think that
Roman
Tom
just knows how to string words together to sound like he knows what he's talking about. And it's infuriating when you've worked with people like that.
Kendall has like this like weird arrogance about him, but also like can't see his own fucking like face in the mirror. Basically, like he doesn't understand what he's the butt of the joke, and like everyone hates being around him. You know, like that level of arrogance.
He has his moments. You know, he has like moments of brilliance. He has, sometimes he has like cunning business things that he does. Mm-hmm. He can be a very eloquent and gifted speaker. And at points in the show, people really do like him. And that helps him business-wise. But he always finds a way to mess all of those things up.
Yep.
And he's just, it's not something that's reliable for him. And I think unreliable is just like his default state of being.
Yeah.
And that's why he was never going to win.
Yeah, he doesn't show up as a dad, he doesn't show up as a husband, he doesn't show up as a CEO like all consistently. He can do it in moments and spurts, and he feels like that's enough. But I think it's because he's spread so thin that he can't give 100% to anything. So he gets over his skis trying to like compensate one way or the other, and it just wrecks him. I want to know how you all felt going into the episode where Kendall had to give the presentation about the senior living place. I was sure he was going to fuck it up. Like 1,000% sure it was going to go terribly. I don't want to know if you all felt the same.
So did everyone on the show. Like, they really, it was awful. Like the borrowed social anxiety of like him like changing his mind last minute and like going up on seeing everything fall apart at the beginning. Did not expect that. And it was one of the most enjoyable things in the season, I think, was seeing Ken like pull shit out of his ass. And like you were saying, Jake, like one of the things that he is genuinely talented at is like public speaking, it seems. Like, and he manages 2 or 3 times just in this season to like really pull it out. He does the funeral and he does here. And I was shocked when he like goes out on that public speak and like, or on the presentation, and like seems to make it work well enough, at least, that the company doesn't tank.
Another thing I'd like to mention in terms of the discussion of who won, I think it's also fair to say that nobody really lost. Did the kids keep control of the company? No. Oh man, now they're what are they worth?
$2 billion,
300 million. Yeah, like
literally the smallest possible violin for Kendall.
Yeah,
just staring out into the water with a bodyguard behind him.
Yeah, so it's interesting here, because literally everyone in the show ended rich, just filthy rich, and so it's easy to say, oh, blah blah blah, lost because he got fired. Like, well, he got his golden parachute. Everyone in the show is perfectly fine. Even if they didn't all get what they wanted.
I think Roman's the most stable at the end. Like I think we saw him have the breakdown that all of them are going to have in the next 2 years if you kept going with the show. He had the breakdown.
At the funeral?
The funeral, and after the election when he went out and got beat up by the like 99%.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
PTSD episodes after that, like him just breaking down.
Yeah. Because I think Kendall's
going back and forth on the CEO, and
Yeah. I think Kendall's going to go through that in the next like 6 months, and I think that Shiv, it would either happen like at some point in the next 10 years in that marriage. I think they're both going to have that happen to them. And Connor, who fucking knows?
I
yeah.
legit, like, trigger warning for self-harm. I was sure Kendall was just going to walk up to the roof and jump off the roof.
Same.
I thought he was going to kill himself in the show.
Yeah.
Like, at the end.
There is a
I was
take
so
where
sure.
he did a take where he went to jump over the rail and didn't tell anybody he was going to do it, and the guy who played the bodyguard in character went up and like stopped him from doing it. Yeah. It was awesome.
Shit.
Like that would have been a really good scene to put in, but I understand why they did it. Like it's like the spinning top at the end of Inception. Like doesn't matter what it actually is, it's how he feels, you know. How would Logan feel about how things ended up for Waystar? I think he would feel vindicated that they all fucked it up so hard, and he knew they would, and yet his company still ended up on top with getting worth more than it was when he left, when he was there doing the original deal. Like they got more money for the deal, you know. They still are ATN, they got their guy in the office. Like he's happy with the outcome of the business sense, and I think the family sense. He's like, that's what you fucking deserve, like that kind of thing.
I think he would have liked for his children to take over the company, but not if they didn't earn it in his eyes. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you he would say if they were worthy, they would have got it. So because they lost it, they didn't fucking deserve it. They can't handle it, you know, which is true. I don't, you know, none of them were Logan. I think Shiv might have been the closest. Yeah. You know, but she still wasn't quite Logan, and also she's a woman. Yeah. So, you know, has to fight against that too. Yeah. But I think he, you know, in his ideal world, one of his children would have taken over. But I think if that were the case, then he would have done it while he was still alive. You know, I don't think he was playing games with them, or I think he literally probably just was like, I don't think any of them could do it, so I'm not going to give it to any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he fully intended to give it to Kendall at the beginning, and then just realized that it would have been a disaster, and pulled out. Yeah,
and he was right.
Logan seemed like exhausted.
Yeah.
By the end, to me, with his children, I think he would have been like, yeah, that seems about right, like how everything played out.
And they all blame the deal, and I think in part they're right, but the deal isn't what killed him; it's them. And they're not ready to accept that yet. Like they're the ones that, like you said, exhausted him and gave him all, like they kept turning like different directions, and they were trying to out Logan, and they didn't do it very well. And like if one of them would have taken it from him, I think he would have been okay with it because they earned it, like Jake said. But they couldn't even do that. Like they just fucked it up.
Maybe.
And he said, like he directly told them, "You're not serious people." And I think that was like the last impression he had of them.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on the taking. Maybe when all was said and done and he had to give his best. But like, don't forget in season 3, like I think season 3, like Kendall attempted to take over and Logan basically cheated to prevent that from happening. Like Logan would have won if they'd have played fair and square.
There's 2 times that happened.
Or sorry, Kendall would have won.
Kendall
played fair and square.
All 3 of them at the end of season 3 tried to veto the sale, I think it was, or veto him becoming CEO again because of some divorce thing that their mom gave up veto power to the kids. And then Logan made a deal behind their back to get it back. And then earlier when Kendall was going to be was leading like a hostile takeover.
Yeah, he was doing the hostile takeover.
Logan called him in and was like, remember that boy you killed? Yeah, you're not going to do this.
Not even that. Well, I don't remember the exact detail.
Did.
There's a point where I know, but he made that play.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, there was a board meeting for the hostile takeover, and Ken like was stuck outside, and Logan just kind of commanded the room and was like, "We're doing this vote right now," and was like looking at people and yelling at them and be like, "You voting yes or no? Like you're voting yes," and just like steamrolled through like people that he knew he wasn't gonna win. And basically, like, everyone was objecting, and he was just like, no, this is fucking happening right now. This is done. And then he was like, you lose, and it was over. And kicked him out. Like,
you're right.
He, like, it was a very dirty play. And again, like, I think maybe if Ken had won by the end, he would have accepted it, but like he was not going down without doing everything he possibly could. So
And
I don't know how accepting he was.
Well, and that's what I mean by if they were able to take him down, he would have been okay with it. Yeah. Like, I don't think he saw that as ever a real threat.
Yeah.
I think he did. I think he knew that if Ken was in the room, then that vote would have passed. Because, you know, a lot of those votes were, you know, people who are not willing to stand up to Logan, but they were willing to stand behind Ken. And so without him there, just under the you know, well, it's like Ken said at the funeral, he was a brute. And so there in that room with him bellowing, yes or no, and you know, there's no one to hide behind. They just have to vote. Guess what? They're gonna vote with the guy that's at the head of the table bellowing at them.
Yeah,
true.
Like I think Finance Bro abstained, and a couple of the older people like switched back when they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Oh, and Roman, of course.
Yeah. Speaking of boardrooms, I think one of the best scenes. I keep saying this, but like actually, like one of the best scenes in television that I can remember is the part where Shiv walks out of the room and they have their discussion about why they're not gonna make it happen. It is unbelievably well acted, and this is where they tie up so many loose ends at once, and you just are So yeah, the three kids are chatting in a separate boardroom about what they're gonna do, and this is where they lay it on the table, and they tell each other how they truly feel, and they walk away, and it's some of the best writing and acting I've ever seen, and it's really cool.
It's the core of the show. Like, I'm not as enamored as you are with I think the show in general and this season be like the best season of TV, but like there are a few standout spots and like where I'd say like that's incredible TV, and I think that them fighting at the end was just insane.
So good. Like every bar was Roman being thrown. Your kids aren't real. Like all this. Oh my god.
Well, and the thing that stood out to me the most from that was, they're up on, the whatever floor in this beautiful boardroom, and they're just insanely rich people. But in that moment, they were just squabbling siblings. Yeah. That's all they were. Yeah. And, they were dressed in their fancy suits and they were middle-aged, but nope, in that moment, they were just straight back to
Roman
brothers and sisters.
Grabbing Roman, like, that was like murderous. Like it flipped from like funny from like scary to funny for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, like I hope I never did that to my brother.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he did like the Game of Thrones like face skull squeeze.
Yeah.
And that was like I was on the edge of my seat. And then it goes into them like literally like tackling, like wrestling to the ground, and it became funny again.
Yeah, and then you realize they're like these billionaire never had to do anything hard in their life. Well, never had to do anything like taxing like that in their life. Yeah. I think that Kieran Culkin as Roman should win every award this year. His acting this season was really good because we saw him go through that huge like emotional breakdown, and the speeches he gave and the way that his breakdowns happened were really, really well acted. I liked him a lot. Yeah, but you're right. There are a lot of standouts in this season.
I think what was really good about it was I feel like he starts out as this sarcastic, like, sarcasm as a shield, but like that's not as hard to play either, I don't think, as an actor. You don't have to like dig down, and then like when he does break down in the show, you could tell like that's the last thing in the world his character wants to do, and he's like, you see him like fighting against breaking down, but like failing to fight against it, and like acting both of those at the same time, I think is really impressive and really fun to watch.
Agreed. Do you think go ahead.
Oh no, I just remembering random ones, but like the very end when he keeps agreeing and like he agrees that he should be CEO, and he's like, yeah, fuck you, and then like literally 10 minutes later, he's just like can't figure out why it's not him. He can't like square the image of himself that he has with like the reality of that. He just can't do it.
Yeah, out of anyone in the show, he's the most just disconnected from everything. He actually has like zero business sense.
Yeah.
And he's just
such an idiot.
Yeah, but he thinks he's not. He has no idea of how.
Well, because of Logan. Because Logan told him that he was good to play him, to like use him against Kendall. He did it all the time. Every single season, he would throw him around. Like he always was giving him praise. Logan was always giving Roman praise, but only because he was like playing him against Kendall. And he's the only person whose opinion matters, especially to Roman.
Yeah.
Like his opinion, Logan's opinion matters to all of them, but like I think Kendall and Shiv have convinced themselves that it doesn't. But like Roman is just straight up like needs it.
We also hear about Roman getting beat the most. Like he definitely took the most physical abuse from what they explain about his upbringings. That's probably like character-wise where that would stem from. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Like the other two could see themselves as a person without him, and Roman doesn't know who he is at the end of the movie, at the end of the show. But then he does. Like I think he's the one that is the most understanding that it's all bullshit. I mean, he says it. He's the one that I think Jake's right. Like he does have the least business sense, and he thinks he does until the very end, like the last minute of the show. Then I think he realizes this is fucking done. We're done.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. How do you think Shiv played her cards right, ending up as she was kind of like the main pivot point, I think, in this season of what side is she going to end up on? How are her and Tom going to end up? How do you think she played her cards?
So in terms of like throughout the series, I don't think she made any egregious errors. Mm-hmm. I think she was savvy and smart. I think she held her ground when she needed to. She didn't do anything wrong. She just kept losing. I do think a lot of that was because she's a woman, mm-hmm. just not taken as seriously, easy to cast aside.
Yep.
And some of it was just like plain old business bad luck. Oh, they went the other way, but
yeah.
I think that they like threw in the Swede at the end just for like the slow people who weren't catching on that like almost all the things that were going wrong for Shiv were due to sexism. It's like, I mean, the Swede is obviously like a misogynist. Like he just comes out and says it. It's almost comical mm-hmm. and horrible that she has to be the one to go along with him. But I think it's because of her family's sexism towards her. Like Kendall and Roman I think the pairing at the end, like whenever she's not there, they're like, it's you and me, bro, like the Wonder Truck brothers. And like I think that's a thing. And obviously Logan, even though he played Shiv and told her that she could be the leader, like he clearly had a problem with it as well. So yeah, like it was impenetrable for her, and so she went with like an outsider and like took a risk, and then it turns out that he's like the most sexist of them all. And yeah, I mean, to your question, I think she played her cards as best as she possibly could and ended up in a place that just kills her.
Yeah, she was the only one with a safety net. Like she found a way to play both sides. It cost her everything. I think
it's a very Pyrrhic victory for Shiv. No. Like I don't think it's that she's happy to be sitting next to Tom in the.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. So at the very end, because she's nothing. She's just like Ken and Rome. They're out of the company. They have their money, but she's out of the company, and she takes his hand at the end. But I think that's her like. Just she needs something at that moment. She needs some sort of familiarity, some sort of like almost base or and so she goes with Tom. But I mean, come on, there's there's no way that's not going to lead to issues because she's going to see that as, Tom has this thing that should have been mine.
I think
there's.
I might be reading into this too much, and tell me if I am. So the way that they held hands at the end, Tom, open palm, her putting her hand on top, not really doing anything after that. I think Tom knew that she needed to feel power in that moment, and he offered himself and their relationship as the power. Like, you can still play me like a puppet. You know what I mean? You still have me. And he doesn't believe it anymore, which I think is going to be a problem. But I think that's what he was offering to her in that moment.
I think, because I would argue Tom doesn't know where he stands, because I think he spent 3.5 seasons just madly in love with Shiv. And probably not reciprocated in nearly the same way that he felt about her.
Mm-hmm.
And then just throughout the course of it, I think he, essentially she kind of wore him down. And he's like, okay, maybe me just fawning over you so much is it's not good for me. It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think by the end, he's not sure where he stands.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think he realized by the end, she made it very clear that, she would throw him under the bus. He always kind of knew, but he just, was sure by the end. Mm-hmm. I think that's what finally, broke it and led to the big fights. And maybe, he feels safe now that he's the one in power. She can't really throw him under the bus now. She can manipulate him, but she's not the one she's not in the power position anymore. I do think, again, I don't think Shiv would call it a victory, and it's tough to argue there's much power because Tom doesn't really have power. But that is by agreement. If we've learned anything in the show, he's still the official leader. If he was Logan Roy, he could turn it around and gain back control. I think if this show continued, what we'd see from Shiv is her trying to manipulate Tom to get back into a position of power so that she can then take it back, because she can't turn it off. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I really loved, that I really liked watching with Shiv in particular. I think she was the most subtle and the most manipulative of them, because Kendall thinks he's too good, so he's just obvious, and again, Roman just kind of sucks at it. She could never stop, even casually talking was just nonstop manipulation, jockeying for position. Every word that came out of her mouth that we see in the show is just. So I think she would continue talking to Tom like that and be like, oh, I don't see why he should be making this call and stuff like that, and be like, oh, you could do this, etc.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. She'd be trying to, to puppet master him into squeezing his way in, and then that would be her way in also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just grab Greg too. Who knows?
I think Greg and Tom are a package deal at this point.
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
need them both. Why do you think Roman broke? What was the last straw for Roman?
This one, so it was halfway through this last season, and I was talking to a coworker, and it was before the funeral, but after the death, and I said that Roman is going to break. He's going to have a meltdown because everyone else had their sort of what you'd expect. Mm-hmm. Their processing of it. I'm not saying they were over it. Obviously something like that'll stick with you for a long time. Mm-hmm. But he just immediately, even when the plane was still up in the air, and Rome was like, "Oh, I'm over it."
Yeah. And
he's like, "No, it doesn't matter. And so he never even went through the grief, because he just said, "Nope, I'm over it." There's, and acting like everything was cool. Oh yeah, the speech, I'll give the speech. It'll be nothing. Didn't even prep for it or anything. He just figured, I'll just go up there and wing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't think he'd have his breakdown right up there, but I knew that before the show ended, he was having his breakdown when it finally hit him that Logan is gone. and and that's when he had it.
The moment when he asked, "Is he in there?" referencing the casket.
Yes.
Oh my god, that tore me up.
Oh man, I was like, well, it didn't tear me up because it was very hard for me to feel any sort of sympathy for Roman by
Sure.
that point in the show.
Sure.
But I was just like, oh my god,
he was a little kid again. He was a kid again. Like he
was, and he ran to his sibling. Well, his siblings came up to him because they recognized it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It was weird because like you say he had gone up there and he couldn't give the speech. He overcome with emotion. I think, like from a business perspective, he could have recovered from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he just went up there, started reading a speech, and just sobbing, and then Ken comes up and does it. That would have been fine. But it's that like almost reversion to being a child, and just that, and he was done.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
and like he was done business wise, and they were in the middle of like trying renegotiations at that point, and that clearly set them back because they were like, this is the guy that's been one of the two that's been trying to spearhead this.
Yeah.
Fucked. I think that Roman lost everything that he could have had in that moment, and that's when he starts to tumble into like the ending that we see where he says it's all bullshit. I think he started to break when he fired Jerry. I think that was the moment that kind of like clicked for him that he was like losing it. I think that was where it was. So was it after?
I think
that was before the funeral, wasn't it?
That was before. Yeah, that was before he knew Logan was dead.
Yeah. Okay.
That was like the day of the airplane. Yeah, I think that is definitely a little bit of it is him realizing that his dad's just manipulating him. Like he knows his dad's manipulative, but he always thought he had something special, again, because Logan's always telling him, oh, you're my special boy. I think he literally said that, and it creeped me out when he used the word boy, honestly. But yeah, the last phone call he makes, he said, like, are you playing me? Are you just fucking me around? And I think it's him realizing that, like, nothing he said was true, and then he just dies. And yeah, I think we kind of covered, like, I don't think he had any sense of identity without Logan validating him there. So
and I think that's why he
started to realize that none of that was real, and then he had no way to even get any resolution on that.
I think that was part of the denial part of his brain kicking in too, was like he never got that final validation from his dad. Like he tried to step up to him, he tried to stand up to him, and like he never got to find out if he did it right or if he would have got in trouble. Like he never got any validation from his dad at the end, and that really set off the denial, I think.
Yeah.
See, and because part of me feels like too, like even when a couple of times in the show when the children would try and get together and make a move against Logan, even then I feel like a lot of Roman's motivation there was, oh, I bet Dad would approve that, that I'm doing this.
Yeah. And,
not in the sense of like trying to take him out, but like, oh, I'm a killer businessman too. I can do, I'm cutthroat. So I think even when he was going against Logan, it's what was going through his mind is, what can I do to make him happy and to get that approval?
Yeah, I'd agree. What's next for Ken?
He walks right into that lake.
Rap career.
L to the OG. God, I hate that song.
I do think there's no chance he doesn't try to start another company.
Yeah, he's
does like the 100 or whatever that they were talking about. He can't stop either.
Yeah, he'll do something business wise. He has the money. He has enough of a business sense that I don't think he'll never like build an empire like Logan did. I think he'd have a pretty successful business, and he has enough money and power and connections that he'll always just he'll always be some successful executive. That's just his life that he was born into. So
I think we see him with the most money he'll have for the rest of his life at that moment.
That I agree with, but it's like he's always going to be a billion, 100 millionaire.
But he's never going to have enough. Like he's that kind of guy. Like it's never gonna be enough for him. He'll always have to go
It'd have to
bigger.
be
He'll fuck it
bigger.
up.
It'd have to be
It'd
bigger
have to be
than
more
Waystar
than
Royco.
Logan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I think that would give him peace, and I think he would find peace. I think if he started a company and it became bigger than his father's company, he would be actually happy. I don't think he would
but then
stop.
then he'd have to start fighting his kids for control by then.
Yeah,
It would never happen. I don't think he'd ever get that far. He'd fuck it up.
he wouldn't. No,
Yeah.
but
But if he did,
but I do think that would actually give him peace. I think that's the only thing in life that would actually make him happy.
yeah, being CEO of Waystar or being bigger than Waystar. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Who got played the most?
I mean, my gut is to say Shiv, but I wouldn't say she got played the most. I think she just got fucked over the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two different things.
Yeah, she had like the most
Yeah.
barriers that she had to overcome, and they weren't put up by anybody strategically. It was just like the culture of the
'cause
time,
really
which is now.
The only because Logan played her, but Logan played everyone, so that doesn't count. And what's the Swede's name?
Madsen.
Madsen. Madsen's the only one that actually I'd say played her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Tom
even
I don't
Verlaine.
know
either,
because
though. Like she figured it out within like 2 days.
it wasn't long lasting, but by the time, because it was they cut their deal with not a lot of time left to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
It was going to be a very last minute thing. I think that even at the time that, because when she floated it to him, I don't think he did a very good job of, Madsen, the actor, did a phenomenal
Yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think Madsen did a very good job of hiding that he wasn't thrilled about it.
Mhm.
And so I think even in that moment, he's like, okay, an American CEO, that's a great idea. I don't think he was ever considering that it was going to be her.
I would agree. He already
Yeah,
saw it fuck up once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
so
there's
even-
something to be
even
said
from
for
the
like
beginning.
playing it like, oh, I don't like this, but I have to let them think they've won. But yeah, I think like they were setting up that it was clear that, I if anything, I think it's weird that Shiv did not pick up or just thought that she could get past it of him like immediately talking about his second in command that he was sexually harassing nonstop and didn't respect
Yeah.
her and all that. Like, yeah.
Also, I wanted to touch on her for a moment too. I can't think of her name. Ebba. Yes. So I think Ebba's, and obviously she's gone through it, but I think she's in one of the strongest positions by the end. Because she has an ever increasing amount of dirt on Madsen, who is only getting more rich and more powerful.
And an ever increasing size company.
So she's
Yes.
the cousin Greg of Gojo.
Yes, but if
no.
cousin Greg was,
She got her position by being skilled.
that's what I was gonna say. If cousin Greg was like intelligent, and because she got there in the first place by being good at what she does, presumably. We don't know her full backstory, but that's the assumption.
Yeah, a little
And,
accepting blood.
Yeah,
you had to do
right.
that.
And she stays there because she knows that she has them in sort of a situation, and because he even he says it openly. He's like, I can't get rid of her,
Yeah.
and because he knows if he does, then she's suing him, and she's walking away rich regardless, and he's ruined.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that threat will never go away.
Nope.
She's never going to forgive him. He's not, even if he cared to make amends, she wouldn't be interested.
Which is why Shiv is completely correct about Kendall not being able to be CEO. Like, if that ever came to light, you're done.
Oh, yeah.
The murder part.
Yeah.
I like how Kendall goes, which one? And they're like, which one?
I don't see.
We're not aware of any other murders.
There's not. I think he just like he's just
Panicked.
shocked that they would even say it, like mention it out loud. Like,
Yeah.
And he didn't murder anyone.
well, I mean, he left the
No,
scene of an
it was-
accident. It was pretty bad.
I
was high,
I would argue
driving.
I would argue it's manslaughter, negligence, and a cover-up.
He's not going to be CEO if that comes out.
No. It's
Which
not
is all they
good.
care about.
I agree with Jake that the word is not murder. I know they used it, but like he didn't actually murder someone.
Yeah, and I think he let them use it because he felt the guilt of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in his mind, he's like, I killed him. What's the difference?
Which is funny because
But-
in the first episode, Logan tells Kendall, "You're not a killer, so you can't be CEO."
Yeah, and
because he didn't do what Logan would have done and like went into damage control mode. He freaked out when it happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Logan meant.
but I think part of it though is throughout the series, Ken had it in his mind, I am a killer. I killed a guy, but really, he didn't kill a guy.
He's a manslaughterer.
A guy. Yeah, he manslaughtered a guy, and then was a wreck because of it.
Yeah.
But
it's very true.
and even then, because I was wondering who knows about that.
Logan,
Ken. It's the siblings. Logan, who's dead.
the bodyguard knows.
Yeah. He's loyal though.
Yeah.
The bodyguard's loyal. I think the only other person who might know would be Logan's wife.
Greg.
That's what's her name?
Marsha.
Yeah.
Marsha. Yeah.
Marsha. I think
I'm I think
I'm looking back again. I think the biggest winner was Willa.
I don't know. I think if I had to spend that much time with I'm drawing a blank on
Connor.
worst brother's name. Having to spend that much time with Connor alone is
You know what I don't get either is in later seasons especially, she gets very defensive about Connor, and I don't know if it's she's done this role for so long that it's now what she it's just automatic for her.
Stockholm syndrome.
No, I think she's talking herself into accepting her life. I think she's like trying to convince herself that it was the right decision.
Money.
The moment where somebody like takes a jab at the fact that he's polling at 1.5% or something.
Yeah.
And she just immediately goes, 1.5% of 300 million people is this many people, and that's a lot, and I'm like, no, she knows he's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Like she's under no. But then at some point, did that shift?
I think it did.
Is she defending him as?
I think after she was given the chance to live her dream and it failed, like badly, I think she was okay with you, or either she wanted him to experience the same thing and she was going along with it to make him feel as bad as she felt because he was kind of a dick about it at some points, or she felt so supported by him in that time that she was like, all right, let's do it. We know it's going to fail, but let's try.
You might be forgetting like her own play at the end. Like he's running
away.
Well, no. To not have to be an ambassador in some like small country.
That's right.
They try to talk Connor into giving his votes to the Republican nominee, and they offer him an ambassadorship, and he goes to her with it, and she's like, "Oh no, you can win."
Yeah.
She immediately like takes a 180 and tries to convince him to stay in the race so that he doesn't accept that position, hoping that once that's over, it won't be available anymore.
True.
So I don't know if when she said that, what you're quoting, Jake, is during that time, but there's a period where she's supporting him because she wants him to stay in the race so he will not take a deal.
See, but by the end, he is going to he's going somewhere, and she's like staying back.
Yep.
And she could not be happier.
Yep, she's pumped.
Yeah,
because
he backtracks.
At that point, she gets kind of everything.
Yeah.
He
needed to. She's Marines with it.
Yeah. So yeah, she comes out pretty well by the end, but like it didn't seem like it was going to be.
No, and even then, because there was no like subtlety in hiding it. She's basically just deciding, okay, do I want to give up this, this lifestyle that I have now of just being insanely wealthy and I can do whatever I want, but I got to tag along with this guy.
Yeah.
And she decides, you know what, fuck it, I am. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
I mean, when you're that rich, it gets the aspect. I remember them making references to like her mother's apartment and stuff like that. Like it's not just her; it's like her whole family is getting taken care of.
Generational.
So it's
money.
definitely
Like-
yeah, like retroactively generationally wealthy.
And then, like, so how old do you think she is, like her character?
35 at most.
So then I'm thinking, okay, so she figures
20.
Connor's got, how many years left, and then she'll be set for life. She'll be an insanely rich, relatively young widow,
Yep.
and I think
she's
that's
like-
her plan.
She wants Connor to get assigned the North Korea ambassadorship.
Yeah, right.
Disappear him.
And I think she says, and I think it's true. He's a nut job, but he's a good guy.
I don't know if I agree with that, but he's nice to her.
He's
You
very
gotta-
nice to
I
her.
do-
Yeah.
It's very nice to her.
I mean, part of it's
don't,
his.
I don't think there's like a malice in him.
No.
No. I was gonna say we don't get to see him as much. You see at the wedding him interacting with subordinates and being a complete piece of shit as well.
That's true.
Like whenever he's dealing with the serving class, he's an asshole. It's
He's
not
rich
just
guy.
that
That's-
wedding though. He's still rich guy asshole.
I guess I'd agree with that. He's out
He's
of
not-
touch.
He's not. Yeah,
He's
yeah. He's
severely
not
out
like
of touch.
dictator level assholes like everyone else, but he's still a piece of shit.
Well, he's a sociopath.
See-
too, because he like ran
Yeah.
for president, thought he could win.
I don't think. See, I don't think he takes pleasure in. Like I would say Roman would take pleasure in berating the lower class. I don't think Connor takes pleasure in berating the lower class. I think he just, he just feels like I'm up here and you're down here. He just, So
Yeah.
I guess that's what I mean by like there's no malice in it. Is that I don't think he gets enjoyment from it, even if he is a dick about
He
it.
just feels
No,
like
yeah.
that's the way it
he
should
thinks
be.
he's better, but he doesn't like think they're bad. He just
Yeah.
thinks they're
Yeah.
there to serve him.
Any other last thoughts on Succession before we talk about what you drink with it?
You know what you made me think of on the take malice part? I don't think if I still had to pick my favorite episode or moment in Succession, and there were some great moments this season, including like the election episode, which we didn't touch on, was like the episode I was actually on the edge of my seat and like wanted to burn the world down the whole time. But the best moment in this show to me is still the first episode, Roman offering the kid $1 million if he hits a home run. Like, that was the most evil thing I think I've ever seen on television.
What was so they showed Logan at that point, but it was just his face. What do you think Logan was thinking? When
I think
did
he was
that?
pissed. I think he was furious.
Yeah.
I don't think he like felt the full empathy for the kid, but I think he thought it wasn't classy and he was pissed.
Because he used to be that kid, which we find out when he dies. He was that kid.
He wasn't rich. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he
He's
knows
seeing how horrible his kid is.
right because he didn't grow up the way that he did. Like he's just pissed at
Yeah.
that. And I think that's kind of like a starting point for him not being like these kids don't fucking deserve this. They don't know what this is about.
Yeah.
And at that point, because he had to scrap and earn for his money, and I think when he sees, so Roman he's turning this $1 million into this cruel game. I think he realizes, okay, there's this disconnect where they've just always had the wealth and the money.
Yep.
It means nothing.
So, yeah. So
And
actually, yeah, I think I like that. I think maybe that's like one of his turning points where like I'm not gonna just give this to my kids. They got to show me that they.
Yeah, because Roman gets
know
sent to
what
like
it is.
manager training after that, like in the fucking.
That wasn't
that's
even
true.
he got sent to it. He was that was Jerry's idea
Oh, that's right.
to for him to show his father that he's serious.
That was right.
He's like,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
take the manager training.
You're right. What would
Also,
you?
I literally I can't smile without just remembering. Don't forget that ended by Tom tagging the kid out.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else is kind of like, oh, and then he gets all the way around, and then right at the end, Tom fucking tags him out.
Oh, sorry, bud. That's my job.
The and Logan did give the kid money, correct?
Yeah, they gave him like
I
a
don't
watch that
think
was
he
worth
gave
like
him-
70 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all ended well.
So I don't know, that was kind of interesting too, because we certainly would not spend a long time if we talked about Logan's positive traits.
Oh no. No.
But
They made that kid sign an NDA.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
were like, and of course in return you'll sign this NDA. Like I did not buy that as kind at all. I read that as damage
right.
control.
Yep, you're right. That's all
Like
it was.
that's a news story waiting to happen. They'd probably make more off the news story if they sold that story, unless Logan crushed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
It's hard to sell a news story to about the people that own the media.
Yeah.
True. Oh my god, the world sucks, dude. Triangle of Sadness Part 4.
Oh.
The Menu, American Factory, Succession, and Triangle of Sadness.
Perfect.
Speaking of consumption, what would you drink with this movie?
Ooh,
Nice, right?
nice.
Yeah. I mean, martini feels right. That's Jerry's drink, and it's what Roman drinks at the end. It's fancy.
Yeah, it's got to be something high end.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was just trying to think of the most expensive scotch you could think of. I assume that's what Logan drinks, or whiskey.
Scotch is what I was
Scotch is a good one.
leaning towards.
Nice glass of scotch. Scotch.
Wasn't it? Didn't Logan's actor say that he died too early?
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Oh, is he not happy about that?
No, and I don't think it was anything to do with like him and his role. I think he felt storyline wise,
Yeah.
that Logan should have,
I don't agree.
But
No, I don't either.
I think he's wrong.
it was
I
a
think he died at
breakneck
the
pace.
perfect time.
Yeah.
It set up the next episode so well to be like little containers of their life up until this board meeting.
If anything, if he thought he needed to do more, it could have been more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But like the episodes after his death are like the right pace.
And
Like
this doesn't
you have like. Go ahead.
this doesn't feel like the show for like flashbacks either, where it's like
No,
Logan,
no.
like Obi-Wan moments with Logan.
Yeah.
No, there's
we
no
got a
there's
couple.
no looking back in this.
We got a
show.
couple
There's
fun
no looking
ones.
back.
Yeah,
We got. There's no flashbacks. We got him coming back. I mean, assuming they film in order, which they probably don't. But like, we got Logan doing the video. I think that's the
that
last
was
we actually
so
see of it.
touching. Yeah, that was like a really real moment. That was nice. Yeah, so go watch Succession, which is awesome. Why are you not watching it right now? That's Succession. Now we're gonna play our game. Hey, game time. Bah, 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 bah.
Whoa.
We're gonna play. Is this original or is it a remake? I'm gonna give our contestants a movie,
I
and
hope
they have
you
to tell me.
say that before everyone.
Is it
In that
original
Exact tone of voice.
or is it a
Is this
remake?
original?
Or is it a remake? You guys are gonna text me your answers, and I'll tell you who gets the point. Ooh, get your phones ready. Yeah, this isn't no more buzzing in, Nate. You got a chance.
Hey, I appreciate it.
This is your declined advantage from last week. Okay. The game is this original or is it a remake? I'm going to give you the year and a movie. You have to tell me if that is an original or is that a remake. There we go. In 2011, the movie Ocean's 11. Go ahead and text me if that's real or original or a remake. Got one answer in, two answers in.
Sorry to be shocked by several of these, but
That is a remake. 1960. There was an Ocean's 11 starring the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
Fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Not
funny.
wild. Jake guessed remake. Nate guessed original. Jake gets the point. 1-0 Jake. Number 2. 2006. The Departed. For those of you who don't speak Boston, that was The Departed, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and others.
Nate, how was that? How was that Bostonian? Was it up to snuff?
Yeah, I think if you just copy something Ben Affleck said, you're probably fine.
Go to Dunkin' Donuts, J-Lo. Fuck off. Like that. 2006's The Departed is a remake. It was a 2002 movie from Hong Kong called Internal Affairs. Nate and Jake both guessed original on that one. Oh, that's wrong.
We're counting foreign language films. Come on.
Nate, we're counting films, all right? One of these is a foreign language film, so you're fucked. Jake's still up 1-0. Number 3.
Easy.
2021's movie, Dune. That is a remake.
I thought it failed.
It did. 1984, it came out, and it did not do too well.
It did get released.
Oh,
it
yeah,
just
you
sucked.
can watch it right
Okay.
now. Yeah. David Bowie's in it. It was directed by...
How did it possibly fail?
David Lynch. Writers were David Lynch and Frank Herbert, obviously. Yeah, didn't do great. It has like a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, so take that for what you will. But yeah, it's a remake. So Jake gets the point. Nate does not. It is now 2-0. Jake, don't worry, Nate. You still have a chance.
I'm worried.
Number 3. 1983's Scarface.
Don't worry, Nate. He won't do 4 remakes in a row.
Scarface is a remake. There's a 1932 film that it's loosely based off of. Tells a story.
Oh, come on.
No.
Yeah.
1930. Oh, okay, loosely based
Loosely
off
based
of.
on-
We're counting it. I mean, you both answered the same, so it doesn't matter if I say yes or no. But we're
God
counting
damn it.
that. You guys both said original. It's still 2-0, Jake. Yeah, Scarface is based on like a 1932 movie, apparently, loosely based on. If you Google,
The secret name of this game is Everything's a Remake.
if you Google movies you didn't think were remakes, you get a lot of good answers for a trivia just like this.
Yeah, you get a lot of BuzzFeed articles where people stretch.
Yeah.
I read.
We
I read
gotta,
'em.
we gotta generate content, baby.
At the time of making this quiz, I checked the synopsis. I don't remember it now, but it sounded good enough.
God damn it.
Number 4.
5.
Thank you. Extra point for Jake. Just kidding. 2-0.
All right.
2013's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Nate and Jake both said original. It is a remake. There is a 1947 movie that it is based around. It's also a short story.
Yeah. I saw you hold back the loosely.
Yeah.
I know your tongue curled behind your teeth. The lips were pursed. And you're like, I better not say this or they'll flip shit.
Yeah.
You're remaking the definition of the word remake.
Again, you both answered the same way, so it doesn't matter. Still 2-0.
I'm just stubborn at this point. Jake, you could just guess original every time and guarantee a win here.
Well, there's only one left. And it's worth 3 points, Nate.
Ayo.
2003's Old Boy.
Here we go. I just want to get everything wrong. Let's do it.
It is an original.
God damn it!
That movie was remade in 2013 with Josh Brolin in English, but the original is 2003. It's a fantastic movie that's super fucked up and hard to watch, but check it out. Well done. Jake won 2-0. 2-0. Jake took it. Let's go. Nice job.
That's actually amazing that there were 6 questions. So there were 12 guesses. And of 12 guesses, only 2 answers were correct.
Isn't that wild?
Wait,
That's
now
very unlikely.
Now I'm like back slightly on your side, Ben.
What?
The Walter Mitty movie, it's not it's called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Uh-huh.
The original one. Well, that's not the impression you gave us when you said based on. That's just a remake.
I didn't Google it fast enough, so I just went with the safe answer of, yeah, it's based on
You
one.
piece of shit.
Look at y'all being...
That instills a lot of confidence.
Yeah, right.
It instills a lot of confidence in your defense of Scarface by...
I mean, I Googled it as I was doing it. It said, it's kind of a remake. But again, you both got it wrong. Or right. So, it doesn't matter.
Ben's like, I cannot stress this enough.
The outcome is already done, and it's the same. Yeah, that was our game. Next time we're going to be playing another episode of Jeopardy! And probably watching a weird animated movie that Nate wants us to watch. Or Beau's Afraid, maybe, or Flash.
Are we not doing Rise of the Beasts?
What's that?
Transformers.
Oh no. Maybe we'll do The Flash.
Hard no.
I'm seeing that this weekend.
I've
Yeah, I
heard The
plan to
Flash
go
is
see it.
terrible.
I have too. Maybe we'll talk about it. We will.
We should definitely do The Flash, but
Mad
if
God.
you guys are down to do Mad God. I haven't even watched it yet.
I
I'm
wanna
just
do it.
excited. We're going to have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, it took 30 years to make it look cool. All right.
We might actually talk about the cinematography of a movie because I feel like that's what we're going to get mostly out of it.
And I can take notes because it's in person, not on a TV theater.
Aw.
Yay. Get ready for the most well thought out, least searched on YouTube movie, Mad God.
Yeah, good luck finding where to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Or is it on something already?
AMC Plus, I think, is on.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You can sign for free. I'm sure
Just rent it on YouTube for $1.
Yeah. It's probably on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I've done that with a number of the movies that we've done. I was like,
Like I was originally going to see this at the independent theater in Cambridge. That's where I saw an ad for it.
Mm-hmm.
They were screening it.
Like Frank. Remember? Oh, okay. Remember the movie Frank that we saw in our college artsy theater
Yep.
with the guy in the big head that was paper
Yep.
mache? That's based on a real comedian from Britain
Yeah.
who
yeah, I
actually
think we
does
talked
that
about
head.
that.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
at all. That's
Oh, man.
awesome. Yeah. Anywho, let's get to recommendations for the week. Jake, do you have a recommendation for the people at home for this weekend?
I do. It's an updated recommendation that I've recommended before.
Lord of the Rings Season 2.
I know I've... Which
Lord
one?
of the Rings Season 2.
Oh, no. There's
You silly.
It's Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Because Warrior Season 3 drops in 2 weeks
Hell yeah.
from today.
Hell yeah.
So get caught up on the first 2 seasons if you haven't already.
What is that streaming on? Is it Netflix bought it or Hulu or who bought it?
I thought
Max?
that was also Max.
I will never
Max.
respect Max.
Yes,
Man.
that's
Is Max going to
HBO.
start Is HBO going to start sponsoring us for calling it Max?
I think they have to.
We're going to be the only ones who will.
You guys get a free login. Thanks, brother. All right.
Hold on, I
Better
need to
than
bing that real
Netflix.
quick.
All right.
That's true.
I'll give you my real recommendation.
Let's hear it.
So, for anyone who tried to log on to Netflix on their smart TV and realized you can no longer share an account, for now at least, you can still, if you have a Chromecast or another loosely affiliated casting device, you can still use your phone to log in with your shared account and then cast to your TV.
That is huge.
It is.
I
That's
love
what
that.
we're doing right now.
That's such a good idea.
And it lets me actually recommend something on Netflix in good faith because fuck Netflix. But the latest season of Never Have I Ever, Mindy
Ooh.
Kaling's high school show, because she's got 3 shows right now and they're all
Velma.
great.
Oh.
What's that?
Velma. Oh, wait. No, that's the other high school.
Oh
I was
god,
gonna
I
say
forgot she
this.
was that. I was so
Okay.
excited because it was Mindy Kaling.
I was
and
about
like,
to have
she's been
this discussion
spitting
with
out
you.
gold. And then I watched one episode of that and it fucking sucked.
That got renewed for another season.
Oh my god, that's insulting. Way to go, Max.
I think it's because they canceled The Idol. They had to be like, okay, bullying kind of works, but also it doesn't work because we're going to keep Velma around. So fuck you.
God damn it. But despite Velma, Never Have I Ever is incredible. And newest season's up and it's still going strong. I think it's the last season too.
Beautiful. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Other than watching more I Think You Should Leave skits, which are hilarious, I watched a documentary called Bama Rush on HBO Max. And it's about the sorority rush that happens at Alabama. And the trailers...
Shit.
Yeah, the trailers made it look like it was going to like be this big takedown. Like, we're going to show you everything. It wasn't. It was like a really well thought out kind of like day in the life type of documentary about 3 girls who were rushing and their experiences. Or 4 girls. And it's pretty
Weird.
like, it's just like interesting and sad to kind of see like and hear the internal thought processes of like 17 to 20-year-old girls and what they have to go through to be who they want to be and like how they feel like they should be versus how they are. Like, half of them have an eating disorder or had an eating disorder. Other horrible things happened during the shooting of the movie, but it doesn't really have a lot to say, but I think it's an interesting experience for someone like me who doesn't know what it's like to be a 17 to 19-year-old girl in the U.S. Like, it was interesting to see what that life could be like, and it was horrifying. So, Bama Rush on Max. Also, just started watching Shiny Happy People on Amazon Prime about the Duggars. Holy fuck, that's a hard watch. It's so much
Who are the
abuse.
Duggars?
TLC's Cash Cow, the 19 Kids and Counting.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like fundamentalist Christian, like almost cults. I mean, whatever you want to call them, but yeah, they're it's
Cult's
fucked.
fine.
It's fucked. It is so hard to watch more than one episode at a time, and even then, you're like, it's gross. I'm done. For the things that they're alleging, this are horrifying. So,
Yikes.
2 fun watches for you about abuse in America, allegedly. Yeah, those were.
We'd hate to break the theme.
Yeah. Next week we'll watch something happy, probably. Who knows?
We should probably do Flash before Mad God.
Nah, we're fine.
If people are watching these in succession.
Yeah, but if we talk about Flash, we have to talk about Ezra Miller, and nobody wants to talk
Oh,
about
I love it when they say the title in the show.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. I'd like to thank...
Mad God is streaming on you can rent it on YouTube.
Nice. All right. Well, maybe
Yeah.
that'll probably be what we'll do next. Thanks for listening to our episode today. I'd like to thank my guests, Nate and Jake, for joining me. As always, if you are new here, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. If you do listen on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. And if you're watching us, be sure to like and subscribe so you can come back when we have more content. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/@rumandcinema and on TikTok @rumandcinema. Enjoy your rum. Enjoy your cinema. We'll see you next time.